Ancient Egypt. Remnants of the world's longest living society still stand tall. In the shifting desert sands and rising Nile tides. But for 1600 years, an important piece of landscape went missing, buried like a treasure in the sea, awaiting discovery. Cleopatra's Palace. Egypt. For 5,000 years, a great civilization flourished here and left a dazzling legacy filled with images of wealth and worship, power and pride. A people who held a profound belief in the afterlife, which found expression in enormous temples and tombs, and vested their faith in the pharaoh to lead them and protect them. Each pharaoh left an indelible mark. Ramses II, the great empire builder, and Tutankhamun, the boy king. But the most famous pharaoh all but vanished. Cleopatra, the face that launched 1,000 legends. Her story begins in Alexandria, a city at the mouth of the Nile River on the Mediterranean coast. It was founded in 332 BC by Alexander the Great, who conquered Egypt for his ever-expanding empire. After Alexander's death, the city fell into the hands of his general, Ptolemy I, who established Greek control over Egypt. Within 100 years, Alexandria was the most famous city in the world, a glorious cultural and learning center which attracted the finest scholars and artists of the time. It grew rich as a trading port between Europe and Asia. Ships from India and Rome sought out its fabled lighthouse, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The Greek occupation of Alexandria and the rest of Egypt lasted for some 300 years, until Cleopatra's time. Queen Cleopatra VII, an Egyptian pharaoh and a full-blooded Greek, she remains one of history's great enigmas. Popular among the Egyptians, Cleopatra was the first Greek ruler to learn their language. She kept the powerful Roman Empire at bay by forging intimate alliances with its leaders. But her luck ran out when Octavius, the ruler of Western Rome, decided to take Egypt from her grasp. Rather than submit to defeat, the queen committed suicide. For all the drama that Cleopatra endured, there's not a trace of it left in present-day Alexandria. Instead, her world lies hidden in 10 meters of murky water in a bay that spreads over 2 square kilometers. No one has ever attempted a full search of this enormous site until now.
Since a very long time, I had a dream to come to this place because of the mystery of this site.
For Frank Goddio, 10 years of planning culminate in this year's expedition. A former financial advisor, he abandoned his successful career to pursue Cleopatra full-time. And this is where he hopes to find her. While exploring the sunken island of Anti-Rhodos, home of Cleopatra's legendary palace, his team of divers tumble across a piece of wood sticking out of the sediment. For 3 weeks, divers clear the site. Curiosity turns into excitement. It is the wreckage of an ancient ship, more than 30 meters long.
The big surprise for the team and me this season was the discovery of the wreck in the port of the island of Anti-Rhodos. And it's a superb wreck, and it's magnificent state of preservation.
Radiocarbon dating places the vessel within Cleopatra's lifetime. Godieu sends artist Patrice Sunken to sketch the large ship. Special waterproof paper allows him to draw an overview.
We are just transferring the measurement taken by Patrice at the bottom. Little by little, we see the shape of the wreck and all the detail of the wreck. The type of construction will lead us to define when exactly this boat has been built and by who and for which purpose, which is also very, very important in this case.
Sunken's drawings and film of the wreckage are sent to Dr. Steve Vinson of the University of Chicago, an expert in ancient ships and shippings.
A nice shipwreck is always a pleasant surprise. In fact, what they're swimming through is the very bottom of the ship, where all the muck and the gunk used to collect. This is down in steerage, basically.
A computer model helps Dr. Vinson bring the ship back to life.
Not every frame crosses the keel. It's more or less...
Well, the drawing gave me the first clue, because with the drawing I was able to see the whole thing in a glance. What we have is a center line, keel, which is this heavy longitudinal member, comes from the front to the back. Crossing the keel are lots of pieces that go from side to side that you would call ribs, or more properly called frames.
The ship was large by ancient standards, 30 meters long with thick supporting beams that measure 8 meters from end to end. Vincent suspects it is a cargo ship.
Well, if it was leaving Egypt, it may well have been carrying a cargo of grain. Estimates put the amount of grain shipped from Egypt to Rome at about 50,000 tons a year.
A cargo ship this size could carry 300 tons of grain or wine stored in tightly packed jars. The wealth of the Nile that made Cleopatra rich.
Egypt was where a lot of luxury goods from China, from India, or sub-Saharan Africa would have been shipped through. Silks from China, spices from Arabia, incenses, perfumes from Africa, exotic animals, lions for devouring Christians, would have come through Egypt.
Hidden between the timbers of the ship